welcome back to my G1 Retro Reviews. Today, we're taking a look at the original Transformers series episode, the Insecticon Syndrome. In this episode, the Insecticons eat something that makes them powerful, but doesn't quite agree with them, and could end up causing them to explode. Boy, have I been there. We begin this episode with Beachcomber, Hound, Bumblebee, Spike, and some kind of park ranger dude investigating a forest that has been munched on by the Insecticons. Too bad this ranger isn't actually Ranger from Master Force. Also, I don't think they could have picked a better team for this investigation. Hound and Beachcomber are both nature-loving bots, and Bumblebee is obviously the Kid Appeal character. Meanwhile, the Insecticons are discussing their latest meal before going out for another bite to eat. This is then followed by what may be the shortest scene in all of Transformers. So short that I feel comfortable playing the entire thing for you right now, and I'm pretty sure YouTube won't catch it.
Gigantic robot insects that eat trees? You've got to be kidding!
Seriously, why is this scene so short? Did they forget to put it in the previous scene, so they just stuck it in here? I mean, it's so brief that it's almost comical. It's almost like it's out of context within its own show. So the Autobots fight the Insecticons when Bumblebee takes cover under a giant tree that looks like it has a hole cut through it. This leads me to believe that the unnamed national park that they're in is inspired by a tree park in California, where you can actually drive through a tree. Or at least you could. Apparently, some of the drive-through trees has fallen since this episode was made. Speaking of fallen trees though, as the Autobots are running away, the Insecticons push this big fallen tree and send it rolling after them, like something out of a video game. And I like that Kickback uses his legs and kicks the tree while the other two Insecticons push it. Nice attention to detail there. So the Autobots and humans end up getting bowled over by the giant rolling tree and plummet to their doom at the bottom of the waterfall. Or so we think, as this just turns out to be one of Hound's holograms. Good going, Hound. You even had me fooled there for a minute. The Decepticons attack the Nova power plant, and we see some soldiers hopping into helicopters and begin to fight them off. And is it just me, or does this remind anyone else of G.I. Joe? Well, the Autobots soon arrive to help as two of the choppers are shot down. And as Jazz and Inferno are rescuing the pilots, Inferno shoots a load of white foam all over Jazz and the two pilots. Man, wouldn't it be a shame if this was taken out of context? The Insecticons feed on the Nova energy core and grow in size until they're as big, or maybe even bigger, than the other Decepticons. They catch Soundwave spying on them, and Bombshell plants one of his Cerebro shells in him. When Ironhide is being electrocuted by the Insecticons, his arm panel pops open, and we can see some interior detail, including a little plaque with his own name on it. For one thing, I wonder why Ironhide has his own name written inside his arm. And two, why is this shot even here? It doesn't come into play later in the episode at all. So the Autobots retreat, and the Decepticons go to attack Iron Mountain, which is apparently some kind of government facility with a supercomputer in it that Megatron wants the data from. And when the Autobots are rolling out to try and stop them, we get what may be an even shorter scene than the one I mentioned earlier.
Ratchet, Wheeljack, we're gonna need that antidote fast.
While downloading the data that they wanted from the supercomputer, apparently, Bombshell Cerebro-shelled all the other Decepticons outside, and Megatron soon finds himself alone against the Insecticons and the mind-controlled Decepticons.
No one gets into my cranial chamber!
Why does this kind of remind me of Transformers the movie?
Unicrons! Why? Take me to Unicron! Take me now!
And I like how Megatron must now ally himself with the Autobots in order to stop the Insecticons before they explode. Aww, I love it when the bad guys and good guys work together. But when Megatron is incapacitated by the Insecticons, it's up to Optimus to manually transform him into his gun mode in order to fire the antidotes at the Insecticons. And I'm impressed with how well Optimus was able to do that. He must have read Megatron's instructions.
I'm shrinking!
Be glad you're shrinking, Bombshell, and not melting.
I'm melting! Oh, what a world!
And with no time left and no one else able to do it, Spike heroically grabs the last antidote and chucks it into Shrapnel's chest, which reduces the explosion, but Shrapnel is seemingly destroyed. Why does this remind me of Waspinator from Beast Wars?
We're not that easy to squash, Megatron! We Insecticons know how to get it together!
Okay, now this really reminds me of Waspinator from Beast Wars.
No, Waspinator has a headache in his whole body.
Are we sure that he and Shrapnel aren't related?
Destroy all Autobots.
Waspinator, what are you buzzing about?
Waspinator. Negative. I am Shrapnel, Decepticon here. Oh.
Shrapnel? That was a Decepticon from the Great Wars 3 centuries ago.
And we end this episode with a joke from Spike.
Gee, the Insecticons gave us a lot of trouble, didn't they? But they seem to bug Megatron even more.
This was an okay episode of G1. The animation was pretty good. The story was a little disjointed though. I mean, why did Megatron want the information from the Iron Mountain computer? It was described as a defense computer, so what was Megatron really after? There were a few cool and interesting bits, like when all the Decepticons were under the control of Bombshell, and Megatron was forced to work with the Autobots. I also wonder if there's a limit of how many other robots Bombshell can keep under his control at once. And I was glad to see that some of the other bots, like Beachcomber, Jazz, and Inferno, got some much needed screen time. But overall, just kind of a okay episode. So, as always, let me know what you thought of this episode of G1 down in the comments. Remember to like, subscribe, and do all that other fun stuff. And I'll see you next time for the original Transformers Series 2-parter, Dinobot Island. So, I'll see you back here next week for that.